I'll start with the lady, Abi Gashero. She's a vice chair of SONU. A very good morning to you. And then we'll go to Felix Loan, former student leader at Kenyatta University. We have Steve Mbogo. He's a patron of the Kenya University Students Organization. And of course, we have to have Babu. You know, he's the chairman of SONU. A very good morning to all of you. Thank you so much for coming. And I guess the first question would be to you, Steve, because everyone else here is, you know, university leader.
Yes.
But you're Kenyan University Students Organization. You're the patron.
Yes.
What exactly does that body do?
Basically, the main purpose of KUSO, which is the Kenya University Students Organization, is to promote, protect, and enrich the lives of each and every student in Kenya.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's an umbrella body for all the universities that we have
Yes.
in the country.
Yes.
Okay. And I want, you know, someone to tell me, why did you guys go into leadership, university leadership? Felix?
First and foremost, it's an opportunity to serve. As I was going through my first and second years in college, I realized probably I could give a contribution to and enrich the student life, and so I said, what is the best way to go for it? And I selected to run for president. So for me it was an opportunity to serve.
And how long did you serve for?
For a year.
For a year.
Yes.
Babu, why did you go into leadership, student leadership?
Basically, leadership comes from God. A leader is a person who's selected by God.
So for you it's a calling?
It's a calling.
It's a calling.
Mine is a calling from God.
Abi?
Okay, for me, especially being a female student leader, it's more of trying to change the societal perception that females cannot be the icon leaders in society. So for me, I came in to prove a point. For me, it's basically proving a point, and yes, there's a lot of joy in serving. So that is where I get my whole inspiration from.
Well, you say there's a joy in serving, and I asked you before we started the show, why didn't you go for the top seat? Why did you go for vice chair?
For me, that was what I saw fit at that particular time. Before I served in junior level as a school representative for my school.
Okay.
I was an independent candidate by that time.
Okay.
So for me, this was basically a political alliance.
A stepping stone into bigger and greater things. Okay, guys, as student leaders, who then do you report to?
As student leaders, we report to the students.
You report to the students?
Those are our constituents. Those are the people that we serve, and they're the people who elected us. So we can only report to them.
You only report
Nobody
to
else.
them. But then we're in school and there's administration, right? Don't you need to speak to administration as well?
You know, a student leader is a bridge between the administration and the students. We don't have bad blood between the administration and the students. We don't have bad blood with the administration. Basically, a student leader is a person who guides the students in the right direction, who ensures that the interests of the students are met. It's not about reporting to the administration, because we are not appointed, we are elected by the students. Therefore, we don't work for the administration, but we work with the administration. You work with the administration.
Yes. Okay, I'll pick up on something you just said in a few minutes. But of course, at the end of the day, you have been elected to bring about change, some sort of change within, you know, your institutions. And maybe I'll start with you, Felix. The 1 year when you were a student leader at Kenyatta University, what change can we say will be attributed to you if you were to sit back?
If I'm to sit back, we did a lot of things, I believe, but if I'm to sit back and pick out a few prominent things, I'd say currently every graduating KU student, apart from graduating with a degree, you also graduate with a certificate in leadership, which is a conversation that the student council initiated and the management adopted it. We also initiated female mentorship programs, female leaders mentorship programs, and that was particularly my pet project, because I think it's time that we allow the girl child to have a larger say in the conversation. We had a project, for example, called Somana Tab, where we negotiated with Equity Bank and Safaricom to have our student success loans from Equity Bank and then purchase a tab from Safaricom. The other thing is heavily invested in the welfare of our students with special needs. So there are some 3 vans that are back there, and a few things like I made a personal decision, for example, to scrap off what was called Freshers Bash.
Deny freshers an opportunity to
yes,
get,
because in my judgment, every other time people would come and have that bash, it's an opportunity to sexualize university life. And so I replaced it with a day event, which is about mentorship, which is about hearing from students who've been there, what is the experience like. So we call in, for example, a female student who's had pregnancy while in college and they've carried it to term, and how
did they deal with that scenario?
And how would I
okay, and that came up when you were a student leader.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Abby, I'd like you to speak on behalf of SONU, because you're both from SONU. What are some of the changes you would see, you'd say will be attributed to, you know, the both of you, because you're the ones who are manning that organization?
Okay. Currently, we're just 3 months into the organization, and what we're trying, there are quite a number of things that we have in store, and quite a number of things that we have already begun as it is. But among the major things that we want to do, we want to really capitalize on the orientation of the incoming students, and even those who are currently there. We want to capitalize on orientation to make them aware of some of the issues, particularly the girl child at the university, and even more to mentor those that are already there, so that we can be able to mold people not only in terms of academia, but also to look at sharpening leadership skills and that kind of thing.
Okay, and just a quick reminder to our viewers, 22422 is our SMS line. Any questions you have in regards to this conversation, university leadership, please send them in and I'll fill them to, you know, the panelists who are in front of us. Okay guys, let's now go into, you know, a topic that many people think you use to your advantage, it being the issue of striking. Yeah, left, right and center, every other day, every other week, every other month there's a strike. For one reason or another, MMU went on strike because of lack of Wi-Fi. Right? University of Eldoret shut down following students' riots over fee increments. Yeah? Is this the only way you guys know how to operate? I'd want Babu to respond, then I'll come and you know, ask you. But Babu, please, is that the only way you know how to respond?
Well, you see, most importantly, before university students go on strike, they involve the administration through a dialogue process. Because a dialogue is not a weakness. Most of the times, it is not a weakness. Yeah. Most of the times we dialogue with the administration or the relevant authorities, but by the end of the day, we're not given what we want. Now, strike, as you put it, is enshrined in the Kenyan Constitution.
Yes, it is.
So it is a human right, an inherent and inalienable right.
But it should be the last resort, and shouldn't it be done in a peaceful manner?
But you see, by the end of the day, comrades start it in a peaceful manner. When you see students being violent, or rather people who join students in the demonstration, becoming violent in the demonstration, then it has to be instigated by something. For example, the policemen. When students are demonstrating peacefully, several strikes we've held, students are demonstrating peacefully, but the police start lobbing tear gas at the students. When that starts, definitely what do you expect?
Babu, I agree with what you're saying, but then there's also, you have seen, yeah, over the years when we've had strikes, it causes us huge inconvenience, yeah, it to some point paralyzing our central business district, in other regions, you know, the town.
Well, you see, whenever there's demonstration, you don't expect things to be bed of roses.
True.
By the end of the day, the strike, for example, for fee increment, just like you said, the University of Eldoret, there's a strike that is affecting even the people in the village. It affects the family members, it affects the friends of the students, the boyfriends, girlfriends of the students. It affects everybody in the country. Because by the end of the day, at least, if you don't have a child in the university, but you are related in one or the other to the university fraternity, and you don't expect a strike for people to march like they are marching in a church, okay? So it has to inconvenience other Kenyan citizens.
Just for you to get your way out there just for you to be heard?
To express the grievances that the students want, because they've used the dialogue means, but it has failed. Therefore,
Steve, I see you nodding, I see you shaking your head, being the patron of this organization that is supposed to take care of all Kenyan universities. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Yes, basically what I believe is when you get students going through social degradation, economic exploitation, political oppression, and intimidation, stigmatization, humiliation from the administration, the only solution is none other than resistance. Now, as the patron of Kenya University Students Organization, what we do is we provide mentorship programs, because we believe we want to reach that happy stage of our development where our differences is not only a source of distrust or division, but a source of inspiration and strength. You find that the administration forced the students, and these students are synchronized due to lack of alternatives, lack of an entry plan, and more so because of their silence. So as student leaders, we come out strongly to support the students, because what they need is the guidance and directions. We don't advocate for distractions and demonstrations. We advocate for peaceful demonstrations, but at times they get overboard. People become very emotive, they're charged.
I mean, and this is what I'm trying to understand. Have we reached that point where dialogue does not work in Kenyan universities? Because 3/4 of the time, surely, you hear it is a strike, you know, that has been called for.
Yes.
And I will say, I'm a student at the University of Nairobi. It has inconvenienced me once or twice before. So I'm just trying to understand. Have we reached a point where dialogue is not working and this is the only way out?
Okay, basically at times as student leaders, we advocate for dialogue. We try our level best, and to an extent where we have to go out there and show it to the public, it means there is no understanding. And that's why we're saying the differences between the students and the administration at times surpass the level, and people become emotive and charged. And as student leaders, we are there to represent the students. You know, we are their advocates.
And I'm going to bring in an argument.
Yes.
When your mother said you couldn't eat meat, did you go on strike at home? When your mother said we will discuss about it on Saturday, did you go on strike?
Not really, but at the end of the day, it depends how you put it across. You see, what we're saying as students, when we go out there, basically we don't go there to destroy or distract people and cut down activities. We've got scenarios where people come in, and none other than students, who come in with the intention to commit atrocities and all that in the name of students.
But then, now that you know that, you know, why do you call for it? You get what I'm saying? Because you know that there are those outsiders who come and join these peaceful demonstrations that you're holding. So why don't you decide to use a different, you know, form of expression?
But basically, you can see lately that we've been very cooperative. Actually, we are handling matters on personal levels. Two
weeks ago, something different. Okay, Felix wants to say something. Sorry, Babu. Felix wants to say something.
Kirigo, first let me try to correct a certain perceptions rather here. Kenya has about 63 universities.
Yes.
Right? If you look at it holistically, very few universities engage in what I would term as reckless strikes. But then the perception that goes out there is that every other time each university is on a strike. As a general trend overall, I think in the last 1 year, strikes are reducing. So we need to also be fair to those people who try to pursue alternative modes of resolving conflicts other than demonstrations. But then let me also take another perspective to add another perspective to this. In my 1 year period as president of Kenyatta University Students' Council, we did not demonstrate.
Yes, and that's what I was going to ask you next. How did you handle your issues?
It's not that we had a very rosy relationship with the management or anything like that. We had our own moments of a lot of tension and a lot of disagreements. But I think in the end what counts is how do you carry out your dialogue and can you carry it out successfully? I think you can do that. And let me give you an illustration where I disagreed with my friend Babu here last year in May. I think it was about a purported fee increment, and at that point, I think my patron Steve was not. I had not interacted with him in Kuso, and I opted to move my university out of the organization because they called for a demonstration saying the government is going to increase school fees. But when you, for example, question the facts, the legal framework as it was at that time and as it is even today, fee increment is only done by the university council. So the minister, whether he pronounced himself to something like that, he couldn't do it. Or if we have a problem with HELB, it's difficult. You know, HELB doesn't have money at that point. Students want money and there is a lot of pressure. We've gone through those problems. Sometimes you call the CEO of HELB, he cannot help. You call the Minister of Education, sometimes they don't listen. But there will always be ways. For example, I remember last year, I think it was in August or something like that, when a situation like that arose and HELB was not listening and the minister was not listening, we ended up going to the private sector. I spoke with the chairman of the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, at that time it was Bimal Shah, and told him we have a day, you have to make sure money comes out. He called the president intervened, money was released from
so Babu, why haven't you used this method?
Actually,
and I'm sorry, you know, it seems like I'm attacking you guys, but
I think,
let's be honest here.
Generally speaking, first, university student leaders as at the current moment, we use different methods. For example, the strike after dialogue has failed. Why is it that dialogue is failing? Because we are dealing with some people, sorry to say, some people who were raised up in the previous centuries. These people, they believe that these young men cannot tell them anything, the administration, to say. They just believe that these people, it is our way as the administration, there is no any other way. The issue of the fee increment, as Lon is putting it, Kenyatta University, we are well aware of, it is in the constitution of the students that they can't even hold a press conference in the university. Why? Because the student leadership in the university is almost, it's dead. The fact that a press conference cannot be raised, you cannot hold a press conference in the university to express the grievances of the students means that the students are basically controlled by the administration. There is serious manipulation at Kenyatta University. The issue of increment, I remember Lon Felix, my friend, you remember the cabinet secretary, Jacob Kaimenyi for education. He said that he is going to increase university fees. Remember, he is the person who appoints the vice chancellors. Now, increasing the university fees, meaning that he was supposed to be part and parcel of the guys who are going to increase this. And he insisted on several occasions, it's on record on media, that he was going to increase this. We dialogued with him. Lon Felix, before I came in as a chairman, Lon Felix, you went to dialogue with him, nothing happened. Kenyatta University students, let me tell you something, they were very much willing to demonstrate, and we transported some of the KU students from KU to town who demonstrated against the issue of fee increment. And I have to let you know about this.
Okay. All right. This strike.
Sorry, I have to interject, right? I followed up that issue, and let me give you a background. The first article that wrote that issue was written by a gentleman called Shiundu from Nation Media. Who
we have to be quick. We have to be quick about
this.
Yes,
I spoke to him in person, and he said his source was the Professor Some, the CEO of Commission on University Education. I called Professor Some. Professor Some said the journalist misquoted him. In the end, the cabinet secretary, on the advice of Joseph Kinyua, actually came out and released a press statement saying the mandate to review school fees does not lie with him. So whether he had pronounced himself that he will increase school fees, I still am able to look at the law as a student leader, to look at the framework and say, anyway, Kaimenyi has no business He's not a member of the university council.
But why
I get what you're saying, guys. I get this conversation, but then you also need to understand where I'm coming from. Yeah, the issue of fee increment could be, you know, legit. It could be reasonable because it is something that affects, like you said, yourself and the person in the village. Yeah, but then there are other small issues that come up, and you're like, surely you're striking because of lack of Wi-Fi. You're striking because of a power shortage. I mean, up until 3 weeks ago, or 4 weeks
I also
ago,
have to say that some of the demonstrations are uncalled for.
They're uncalled for, so you agree?
Students, that I agree.
You agree?
We have to be very rational on demonstrations.
Okay. Let's move away from that topic, and I want to come to you, Abby. You're a female in university leadership, a very murky world, I think, because you're dealing with quite a number of students. How is it, and are we seeing more women coming into, you know, the light and saying they want to be part and parcel of this?
Okay, I can draw it back into the whole societal perspective about female leadership. So there was that era where women were just to be seen and not heard, and we are busy fighting that, both at the university level and even in the national politics, as you can see right now. And at the university, it's very evident that more females are actually rising up to the positions. More females are interested. There are many challenges associated with the female leadership, and particularly even getting to that position. And among them is one, fighting the whole chauvinism. Two, there is the issue of how do you gather your resources for competitive politics as a woman. Where do you source these funds from? How do people view you when you're going to source these funds? Do they tag you as a sexual being, or do they look at you as a serious leader who actually has an agenda to fulfill? And these are just among the things that we are fighting. But it is true that more and more females are rising up.
And taking up these leadership positions.
Yes.
All right, Babu, you've been in the news the last few weeks. You wrote a letter asking President Barack Obama to come to the University of Nairobi. And if I'm not wrong, I think my director Robert has a clip wants us to play. That was you yesterday, where you went to meet President Uhuru Kenyatta, and he looked visibly upset. Asking you why you think Barack Obama should come.
Reproached one Babu Owino, the author of the letter. Again, this.
So is it true, Babu, that all you wanted was to go to State House? Because the president has said.
All we want, that's according to the president. That's not according to Babu Owino.
What does Babu Owino want? Why does Babu Owino
Let me tell you something.
Barack Obama to come to the University of Nairobi?
Barack Obama is a product of the university. Barack Obama Sr. went to States to study. As a result of that, Barack Obama Jr. became, okay? By the end of the day, university students need people like Barack Obama because he's a source of inspiration.
But the president asked a very valid question. Why should he come to the University of Nairobi? Just because?
We said, when you look at the letter, we said the University of Nairobi or any other university in the country. Very simple, okay? So if he comes to any other university in the country, we would highly appreciate the fact that Barack Obama is coming for the entrepreneurs. Those guys can afford going to White House to discuss those business opportunities. But the students need Barack Obama more, to listen to them, because he's a source of inspiration, he's a mentor to many people. And some people leave the villages, the slums, to come to the universities so that they can make it in life.
So do you want...
Taking into account the history of Barack Obama, and when the students compare themselves to that, they have a hope. Therefore, Mr. President, and I still insist, Barack Obama should come to the university.
Okay, I'm getting lost. So is Barack Obama coming to listen to you, or are you going to listen to him?
We want to listen to him.
You can listen to him on TV. I'm sure there'll be live, feed.
But you see, by the end of the day, addressing a specific group. Okay, that's what is most important. Let him come, address us, we interact.
You also understand he's one of the busiest men in the world. You're asking him to talk to students. Everyone will want to read,
so
even the media.
You think students are not important?
They are, but even us guys could wake up and call for him to come and talk to us. I mean, aren't you being a bit unreasonable?
That's why, you see, but you know media will be there. That's given.
But he will not speak to the media. He will not speak to the media.
We were also requesting him to come and talk to the students, which is not an offense.
I don't know.
And you see, it's not about going to State House. We've been there several times and we'll be there. So that's neither here nor there.
Your thoughts on that? Because a lot of Kenyans are feeling like, what makes university students think that the best thing that ever happened, you know, and they need to seek audience with President Barack Obama. Like I said, even we, the media, would want to have a one-on-one with him, but because of the nature of the job, we will be there. Will he be talking to us directly? No, he'll be talking on different issues. So, I don't know, what's your take on that?
Okay, my take on that, first I want to correct people, and especially the media, in relation to how they put it across in terms of the letter. Now, Babu Owino is a messenger of the students. When he puts up the letter, it is because the students demand and want the information to pass across. So I don't see the main reason why people should crucify Babu for the sense of the letter. For him, he's just the mediator. He's the link between the students and the society administration at large, or the system. Now, my take is, as Kenya university students, and you're talking about the first-class youth in the society, we will love to have a direct interaction with the President Barack Obama. Simply because, one, as my brother said, he's a mentor, and him having a Kenyan background. We've seen and we've watched closely that Obama works very closely with educational systems. He's been very active in student leadership before, and he works very close across the world with the students' fraternity. So we want to have a direct interaction. We are students who've been through a lot. We've been affected. One of the main agendas Obama is coming to talk about is the issue of security. You all saw that last 2 months we had an incident where our university students, 147 students, were killed. We are affected. And that's why we would request to have a wording with him, a direct interaction. We just don't want to listen to him, but we have things to tell him as well. As students of this country, we've been talking about issues on security. We personally we petitioned last year, December, and advocated for our universities to be secure, but no one listened to us. The system was silent, only to come and deal with post-mortem operations, where someone is already dead, and then you want to know what happened.
Well, I wish you all the best, and I hope you'll get some time to come and talk to you guys. But let's move on, and Moi University has been shut down, and it's been closed indefinitely.
Yes.
Reason being that there was fighting that broke out, you know, between two factions.
Yes.
Yeah, tribal factions. I'd want you guys to comment on that, seeing as you are student leaders who are supposed to unite people, but it looks like, for example, Moi University being divided on ethnic lines, being divided on political lines. You know, what's your take? And maybe Felix, you can start with you.
I think this is a general script in the country, even at the national level, where people hide their own weaknesses and incompetence in tribe and a few other things. It's very unfortunate that such would be associated with our generation, where we have so much that brings us together, but we choose to still go for the influence of tribe, for the influence of money, for the influence of very cheap things. So for me, that is regrettable. To the very. It's too unfortunate that it can be associated with my generation, that in an institution of higher learning, you have people aligning themselves along tribal lines and then fighting, breaking out. And I think it's time we communicated an issue to every aspiring student leader out there. Many people have been student leaders. Many people have been elected, with support across the divide. It is just about how you effectively package yourself. It's just about what you stand for, and it's about, can students trust that you're going to satisfy rather satisfactorily represent
them. And then picking on what you said, the package you bring out, a lot of people say student leaders are funded by politicians, so the more float you have, the more money you have to dish out, you know, the more endearing you are to me as a student. And I'd want you, Babu, to talk on that, because it, you know, you have been it has been said that you are funded by some politicians who, I don't know, reports though just say that. I'd want you to hear what you have to say about that.
First, I would like to comment about the issue of Moi University. To me, I think students should resume and go learning, because the sole reason why students join the universities is to go and learn, to get educated. Now, politics is just but a very smaller percentage of it all. By the end of the day, students come to the university to learn and get their degrees and seek for job opportunities.
After that,
there is a very smaller percentage of students at the universities who are political. Therefore, this issue of university being closed down because of tribal differences should not be there. We are the cream de la cream of the society. We should not afford to be tribal at any time, because we should be giving direction. We are the opinion shapers. Any student leader who is tribal, that's a person who belongs somewhere else, maybe not in this country. That's a person who's lost the sight of a gazelle for dashing squirrel. That's a person who doesn't know why he or she is at the university. Now,
the second issue, I've asked you about funding. A lot of people say you're being funded by politicians.
That's hearsay. You know, I'm a lawyer in the making, and they say hearsay evidence is not admissible. So, concerning that, I would regard it as propaganda. As propaganda.
A lot of people are saying Babu Owino has been at the University of Nairobi for very many years. When is he finishing? Is he ever going to quit this leadership?
In fact, if it is about university, even professors, very old people are still learning. Learning is a continuous process.
It's a continuous process.
And I'm not ready to quit.
No, not
I'll
yet.
still learn, even if I want to. At my deathbed, I will still learn.
You'll still be learning.
And when we were growing up, what was your mom telling you? That education is the key to success.
True.
Now I cleared my first degree, having attained first class honors in natural science. Went to law. What is the problem of having many keys to success? By the end of the day, economically, if I want to make money, I open a law firm, I open an actuarial firm, I make money.
It works for you.
There's no problem.
True.
Politically, I can use law to guide me on how to conduct myself.
Guys, we're coming to the end of this segment, and I just want to find out whether you think university leadership propels one into political leadership, whether that's, you know, one of the routes, or what other forms of leadership can we get into after university leadership. And I'll start with you, Steve.
Yeah, as we said in the beginning, I believe leadership is inborn, and it's a calling actually. And once you go this process, especially when you're in university or educational leadership, it gives you the virtues that will guide you even on higher levels of leadership. Now, we've seen very well, when you look at the current society or the current system right now, you realize that 30 to 40% of the current politicians are formally into students' leadership. Because at the end of the day, you learn how to engage and give directions, how to guide, how to protect, how to promote. Now, as much as we might say main interest in university leadership is to join political leaderships, but I believe it gives you a good platform in the sense that you can have the needed qualities or virtues that are vital for you to guide the people. Because I'll tell you, to convince intellectuals, university politics is very difficult. It's much more difficult than national politics, because here you're supposed to convince people who are intellects. You have to be factual. There are people you can't lie to on propaganda, not like the national politics where it's on tribal or party basis.
Affiliations, yeah.
So it's a very good move, and as I said before, you know, leadership is inborn and it's a calling.
It's a calling.
It's not easy. We go through a lot as leaders, and we won't stop leading until you see change in this country.
Felix, a few weeks back you presented our president with an award of being the best African president. year 2014, 2015. A lot of talk about that. People saying, where is that from? Maybe you can clarify that.
So the award was conferred to His Excellency by the All Africa Students Union, which is a credible body that has existed since 1972. It's hosted in Ghana under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so it has a diplomatic relationship with the government of Ghana. The question that I have seen and which I would like to address myself perhaps to is whether Uhuru deserved the award. The basis of determining who is the President of the Year, according to us as ASU, is has a government undertaken policies that support young people. In our review of that cycle between 2013 and 2014, we thought that the Kenyan government had put into place several mechanisms to do that. So
in that respect, when you look at it that way, then when it goes round Africa, he's the one who fits the bill.
Exactly, he's the one who did fit the bill, and that is why the award was conferred on him.
Okay.
So all these discussions about whether he deserved it or not, I think should not
have been put to rest. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming time at company. Yes, Babu.
Before you clear up, you talked about what are you planning after this leadership?
Yes.
Basically, we formed a party called PONA, Party of New Alliance. We are asking the government a simple question, specifically the Registrar of Political Parties and the NIS. Why are they sleeping?
Is PONA
PONA is the Party of National
It's a political
New Alliance.
party?
It's a political party that we decided to form as the youth.
Who's we?
That's the young people, Babu Owino, the party leader, Steve Mbogo.
Okay.
These people, they don't want to give us our provisional certificate. And we are warning them because JAP was registered within a day. Marende's party was registered within 3 days. Let them give us our party. Let them not shun the dreams of young people in this nation.
What exactly is your party meant to do? Sorry. Steve, maybe you can... What is PONA about?
Yes.
Time is not on our side. We need to end that, but Babu has brought it up. What is PONA about?
Yeah, basically, as I said before, the youth of this country have been synchronized for lack of alternatives, and more so because of their silence. As the youth of this country, we sat down and decided we have to find ways of fighting for our rights. These are our democratic rights. We need to be listened to, we need to be heard, and we need to speak.
So that's the reason as to why you formed a political party.
Our main agenda is to promote, protect, and enrich the lives of all the youth in this country.
Okay.
We accumulate 65% of the total voter count. When you look at the last elections, the youth came out to vote, only not to be considered. We are suffering. The youth out there are suffering. Platforms have been used on the youth. With our names, people have gone into power, but time has come where we are saying, and the message should go very clearly to these entities. We are sending a message directly to the Registrar of Political Parties and the NIS.
That you need your registration.
That we need our registration, failure to which.
And that's a conversation for another day, because then there will be the argument that you're being used you're being used to, you know, get politics into the institutions, you know, and that's a conversation for another day. We've touched on it a bit, but I want us to delve into it a bit further, because then that's how will we be sure that we will not see what happened in Moi University happen again? You know, when you guys form a political party and now go back to university.
And I'll tell you on that, on Moi University, last week we currently hold motivational talks. Last week we were in Moi University, and as you've said, it has come to our concern that political leaders, the leaders in the system right now, are creating all these divisions. Now, the insidious behaviors in the society, we cannot accept and let it crop into universities.
Okay.
We've done dialogue and negotiated. The students will be back next week, and we are going to curb that tribal cancer in our institutions.
All right, Steve, thank you so much.
Director should resign
Babu,
for not giving us our certificate.
We're coming to the end of the Power Breakfast interview for this hour. Many thanks for joining us, but don't go too far. The next hour, this morning, we want to learn about the Akorino religion, one of Kenya's indigenous religions. It goes back 1930s. We'll be learning more about them in a few minutes. Don't go too far.